Good afternoon, everyone. Following up on what was considered the April snowstorm in parts of Saudi Arabia, it was more of a hail-snow mix. Jumping over to Pakistan, April 10th, looking back at the hailstorms in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, the size of this coming out, hitting people on the head, injuries. Northeast Italy over the last couple of days. Now snow, Swiss Alps, 7 meters, that's 23 feet. The video I did talking about dart shape or arrow shaped ice, Sasha Dobler got back with me, talks about the same accounts in the 14th century. That's the Sporer minimum. So what are the chances in the last month and a half of, first, the unofficial world record largest hailstone, followed by something even larger in Alabama on March 19th. The hail's becoming ferocious, and the images I'm about to show you are not being talked about in the media, and I don't know why. We're not talking about the amplification that's coming and in progress right now that is going to increase to the point where you will understand why the ancients feared the skies. And while you're watching the video, please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030 and click the bell so you can get the latest updates. And if you haven't noticed, there's so much going on with our atmosphere and these earth changes across the planet, and now all the geopolitical maneuvering on the chessboard to get ready for these food crop losses. It's difficult to keep up, even being in the center of this change that's going on and reporting on it. So what I'm bringing to you in this video is a compilation of the last month of hail anomalies across the planet. I'm going to start off here. April's snowstorm covers parts of Saudi Arabia. Now, at the little bit higher elevations of the mountain, it was snow, but at a little bit lower elevation, it was actually hail. This takes us back to 6 days ago. This is what the valleys turned into in parts of Saudi Arabia. You can see it's a little bit more dense. This is a hail covering. Beautiful landscape. Lots of videos coming across social media after the storm had passed. Finally, it took a couple days to get people to upload. There's a full compilation now. If you really do search on the net, you can find an enormous amount of information on this. Clearly on the roads, this is hail that had come down. But getting up just slightly in higher elevations, it's a snow-hail mix. But look how those domed greenhouses survived even that hail that came down. So when we're talking about agriculture in the future, this is a perfect example. That worked really well. We talk about monolithic domes for high winds and hail. We might have to really start thinking about implementing this on a global scale. So I'm going to just run through a collage of images here from these same areas across Saudi Arabia. And you'll notice that the composition of the snow-ice mix, and we've seen this where it's just borderline both. But this Asir region also has seen snow and hail for the last 2 years, which is unusual because they hadn't seen anything like this since the 1960s. We get into the higher elevations, for sure that is snow. But when we come down, Golf Insider has a full rundown. They must have about 40 pictures inside their news feed as well, covering some of the same images that keep circulating through the social media. So there's several references and resources on this. A bit closer in here for you so you can see it. It looks like either snow fell first or it was both coming down at the same time, but it has that coating that you realize that it's ice right away, not full fluff snow. A bit zoomed in here, you can see some of the terraced fields with that same effect. Not pure snow, but it looks like a mix of both coming down. Now I'm going to bring you right over here to Pakistan. This is April 10th, just a day ago. Look at the hail falling there. Rare but massively beautiful sight. Let's just go back another week. This is on March 30th and April 1st, Bangladesh hailstorm. This was not only in Bangladesh. This was Nepal and India as well. But the size of those hailstones coming out, they actually caused bodily damage to thousands of people, killing farm animals, crushing people's homes. It was an all-out event. It made subcontinent news left, right, and center. How much have you seen this on your local news about the size of the hailstones injuring people and killing animals? This is the size of the hailstorm. This is nothing like I saw when I was a kid. And I'm sure it's nothing like you have seen either growing up. The size of the hailstones coming down is something that is talked about in repeating grand solar minimums, specifically Maunder minimum, Sporer minimum. We go back into the late antique little ice age. Japanese accounts of this pummeling villages as well. We need to go back into like 635 AD. And you can't tell me the size of the hailstones coming on these cyclical patterns is just a random event that it starts right now when we're entering a grand solar minimum. These are some images of the Nepal-India border. This is an area called the Terai. But you notice when the ice was in these warmer climes, look at the steam starting. Incredible images of how much ice and heat are mixing in these zones here. So when I'm talking about the decimation and crushing of some of these homes, now this home was badly damaged on the roof after, but you can see what they're talking about, calamities, casualties in the eastern part of Nepal. And then we have over here in Panda, Bangladesh, ferocious hails, the same exact, killed farm animals, injuries to humans. And how much of this is reported on the news? This is in Sitamarhi in India. Probably not a peep anywhere. Now jumping over to the Swiss Alps, we know that California is right at either surpassing last year's record snowpack or at the very bare minimum equaling it this year. Let's take a look over in the Swiss Alps, 7 meters. To those of you in the United States, that's 23 feet. 740 centimeters. And it just keeps on coming in northeast Italy and up the Slovenian border area. Ice storm after ice storm after hailstorm, and they've had blizzards and crazy thick snows. This is at the lower elevations. This is why you're not seeing that huge snowpack that they've received up in the skiing areas. Now, a video I did just a couple days ago, I referenced this video here from Clarinda Farm with April Devine talking about these dart-shaped hail that she found, arrow-shaped hail that was coming out of the sky. And I did the video, and right away, Sasha Daubler from Abrupt Earth Changes wrote back to me and said, hey, this is exactly what I talked about in my ebook, Abrupt Earth Changes in the 14th Century in the Sporer Minimum. I interviewed him. We had a talk for about an hour, and this was one of the most amazing matchups with our current climate. If you would have not told me that we were talking about the 14th century, I would have thought we were talking about just modern, right now, weather reports coming across Europe. The earthquakes, the strange hails, the super incredible, thick, unbelievable snowstorms, the sandstorms, and it all matches up. They talk about arrows. And the significance of the arrows. It's a metaphor for plagues. They also called it the poisonous darts of God. Arrows falling from the heavens. And again, when you even go further back in time on these grand solar minimums, go back 700 years even further in the Justinian plagues, arrows falling from the heavens. Now, what are the chances of arrow-shaped hail suddenly starting right at this pivot point as well? It is not a coincidence, and you can find matchups in history. You can visit Sasha's site and download that ebook. There's great lithographs in there, drawings, explanations. He put an enormous amount of time to put that book together. translated from several languages across European chronicles into English. Highly worth your time to read that. And again, another thing that was talking about in that 14th century was massive hail that bombarded and crushed villages into splinters, into the mud, that they no longer knew a village existed after the storms passed. Now here we are. 2 of these at the same time within a month. Unofficial world record largest hailstone. This is February 8th in Cordoba, Argentina. Now take a look at the size of the hailstone in this woman's hand here. They also included a couple of measurements. In July 23rd, 2010, the largest hailstone on the planet had fallen down. It was 8 inches in diameter. This one was borderline on that edge. Bring you to the future, March 19th, just about a month after that. And we have a hailstone in Alabama, Cullman, Alabama. A lot of you writing about the comment about this guy's feet here, but the size of the hailstone is unbelievable. Now, what are the chances of 2 record-sized hails, one eclipsing the next record within a single month? And you're routinely seeing larger and larger hailstones falling out of the skies. This matches with every single grand solar minimum, the increase in the size of the hail, the vortices, the wind on our planets increasing, the jet streams going out of their flows. Here we go. If you're in the line of thunderstorms in these next few days, you are going to need to be extremely cautious. The minimum hail that they're receiving across the entire front at the moment is golf ball sized minimum hail. And it just increases in size from that point. This will be April 12th. And these storm fronts are going to roll through for 2 days. Tornadoes and extremely large hail. Please take care. Thanks for watching the video. The grand solar minimum has been intensifying. You've seen it in the past. We just need to look in history and know what our future is going to be. Now imagine when hailstorms hit our crops after they're in the mid-growing season.